welcome back to Art with Alex. Today we are going to be adding on to something that we've already learned a few videos ago. So we talked about primary colors and secondary colors, and I briefly talked about complementary colors. So that is what we are going to focus on today. First, I'm going to remind you what our complementary colors are, and then we're going to move on to a project that helps us learn those even more, and we get a pretty project out of it as well. So, our complementary colors, let's be reminded, okay? We have green and red, yellow and purple, and orange and blue. So each of these combinations have a primary and a secondary color, right? So red is primary, green is secondary, blue is primary, orange is secondary, and yellow is primary, and purple is secondary. Okay, and when we're talking about complements, okay, little English lesson for you. There are two different types of complements, right? Complement with an E like we're using here, and then also complement with an I. With an I is when I say I'm complimenting your outfit. But complement with an E, okay, means that they complement each other, almost like they complete each other. They make each other look better, okay? So when you put these colors together, they pop. The other color looks extra bright, like red and green. If you put red by itself, yes, of course it's still red and it's still pretty, but you put green next to it and it really helps that red pop. And as I said a few videos ago, okay, we have some color combinations that you can think of. Okay, the most obvious one we have is Christmas colors, green and red, so that's a very common combination we like to see. And then these two, I like to think of them as sports teams. Not everyone might know these sports teams, but the Florida Gators use these colors right here, and then LSU use these colors right here. And even if you don't know what that means, that's okay. The point is they are used for team colors, meaning that they really make each other pop, and those team uniforms and t-shirts and things like that look extra bright and pretty because they're using complementary colors. Alright, so feel free to pause this, look at it, review, and now we are going to be moving into our project. Alright, all you're going to need is a piece of paper and a pencil to start with, of course, as usual. Then I'm going to go in and I'm going to trace over with a Sharpie. So for some of my older kids, you can use a Sharpie. Younger kids, just darken with pencil or use a dark colored crayon or something like that. And then I'm going to be using markers. Again, as usual, feel free to use whatever colors you have around your house. If you only have pencil, that's okay. Remember, I'm going to remind you what you can do if you do not have colors. Okay, but I am going to be using a pencil, Sharpie, and markers for today. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so here we go. We are going to go ahead and get started. This is the project we are going to be doing today. We are going to be first drawing a peacock, and then when we decorate our peacock, we are going to be using complementary colors to decorate its feathers, okay? So not only are we making a cool drawing and learning how to draw a peacock, we are also working on complementary colors and showing really how they make each other pop, okay? And again, just reminding us what these complementary colors are. So let's go ahead and get started with just drawing the peacock. We are going to start with just pencil. As you know, I like to start with pencil so that it's easier to erase mistakes, and it's just a lot easier in general. So, to start our peacock, we are going to draw a circle for its head. So, just about in the middle of your paper. Alright, I'm going to do a circle probably about, and again, watch how I'm doing these sketching lines, and then we can darken it later, but when drawing a circle it really helps to use lines like that. Otherwise it's really tricky to get a perfect circle. So I'm going to start with a circle about that big right in the middle of my paper. Okay, now we're going to draw its beak, which is a triangle. So all we're doing so far is a circle and a triangle, all shapes we know how to draw. This triangle is going to be on the left side of the circle, and it's going to come out like this. That's its beak. Now I'm going to give it 6 little feathers on its head. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, and I'm going to add some more circles to the top of these, and what these are actually going to become are my 6 colors that we're working with today. Each one is going to be a color. Alright, and that'll remind you what 6 colors we're using. Those 6 basic colors that I like to talk about. Alright, so all we have is a circle, a triangle, 6 lines and then 6 little circles. That's all we've done so far. Now before we draw its body, let's go ahead and finish up its face with its eye. Okay, so eyes can sometimes be a little tricky, but think of it again as lines and shapes. So what we're going to do first is start about here and then come up and over, just kind of curving up, and then the exact same thing is going to happen underneath to close it up. Okay, so just arcing up and over. If it helps, you can just do an oval, right? You don't have to make it this detailed. And then to complete the eye, I'm just going to color in this part down here. Okay, so again, just kind of like a half circle right there. And that's its face. Okay, that's the peacock's whole face. And now, time for the body. So what we're going to do is the neck is going to come down like this, curving down. And I'm going to do the exact same thing over here. So that's its neck. It's just 2 curving lines like that. And what we're going to do with this peacock is we won't be able to see its feet in the bottom of its body. Okay, so it's sitting like this and we're kind of cutting it off a little bit. So the rest of this is just rounding out like that. And then same here, rounding out like that. And that's its whole body right there. You just drew the peacock's body. Alright, I think that's probably the trickiest part. Now we just get to draw some lines and then color in. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is draw feathers. So this might be a little tricky. Okay, we're going to try to get 12 feathers because 4 of them are going to be orange and blue. 4 of them are going to be yellow and purple, and 4 of them are going to be green and red. So if you can't fit 12 in there, that's okay. You'll just have less feathers, and that's totally fine. So fit what you can. But what I'm going to do, like I said, is go off the page. So the bottom of this feather is actually off the page, okay? And my whole peacock is kind of going off the page, which I actually think gives a lot more interest to a photo, right? If it's not just sitting in the middle, if it's kind of going off of the edges. So that's my first feather, and all I did was a line, and then towards the end I started curving down, and that's it. And now I'm going to do the exact same thing. Try to keep them about the same size if you can. Straight out, curving down, right? And we are going to try to make it arch in, so we're going a little bit shorter with each feather. Okay, and I'll show you what I mean here. Here's my third one. Alright, and I'm going to end it just about short enough right there. And then my 4th feather, so this is going to be my last orange and blue feather. Again, all I am doing is I am drawing a line straight out and then curving down. So let's go ahead and get started on our next 4 feathers. I'm going to start right about at his head right here and go up and over. Okay, and these ones are going to go off the page, so watch what I do. Or I'm going to start right at the top of his head here. I'm going to go up and off the page. And then watch, I'm going to act like I'm still drawing on the paper, but I'm actually in the air. And then I'm going to come back down here and draw that line. So that's a pretty simple way to draw off of the page, okay? So now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we need 2 more for this top section. Again, this one is basically just going to come all the way off the paper like that. That's all we're doing for that one. And then we're going to come from here and we're going to arc. And you can do this one off the paper if you want to. Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit off the paper and then come back with it right here. Okay, only 4 more to go. We're almost there. So now, same thing, just on the other side of the paper. Alright, so I'm actually going to start this one from over here because it's going to make it a little bit easier. Okay, so coming from here, curving, and then your straight line. So you're just doing it reverse order. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. So we need 3 more. So 2, 3, and my last one is going to go off the page like this one did. Whoop, just like that. And now we have our peacock. Alright, so we have our peacock's body and we have all of its feathers. So what I am going to do now, I am going to be using a Sharpie permanent marker to trace over these pencil lines, okay? Just to kind of make the peacock outline stick out a little bit more. For those of you who are a little too young to be using permanent marker, aren't comfortable using permanent marker, no worries. You can either go over with pencil, darken with pencil, or use just a black washable marker or a black crayon or whatever you'd like. So let's go ahead, let's do this together if you want to, and then we'll all come back together and start coloring. Alright, so now we have our outline, okay? So we have that. We've now darkened, okay, with whatever material you want to use to darken. We've darkened our peacock, so now all we have to do is color. And so what we're going to start with is the body, okay, because that's not complementary just yet. So I'm going to go ahead. I took a brown marker and I used brown for my peacock's body. You can use whatever color you want. You can leave it white if you want to. You can color it black. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and use brown. For those of you who do not have color at home, okay, I told you I would tell you what to do. So you can, again, you can either leave it white or you can practice shading. Again, I would definitely suggest watching my earlier videos before working on this video. Okay, so you can work on shading, meaning just using the edge of that pencil to color in and making kind of a gray peacock. And then when we start using colors, okay, so like for example, when we start using yellow, you can shade in a little bit lighter because yellow is a very light color. And then for our dark purple or blue, you might want to use a darker shade, okay? And you can also, if you want to use this as a guide, you can also write the colors in pencil or pen or whatever material you have. You can write red, green, blue, and make a design out of that as well. Or you can just scribble and do swirls and polka dots, some of the designs I'm about to show you, just with pencil. Okay, so there's many different options. Alright, so there we go. I finished my body, and then I'm going to take, again, you can use whatever color you want, but I have this kind of orangey yellow color that I'm going to use for his beak. And now let's get to our complements, okay? So we have, let's start with orange and blue. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these 2 circles right here, and this is just kind of a fun way, okay, to include all of your colors, and then blue right here. And again, you can make this unique. You can use whatever colors you want. If you want to use different colors for the feathers on his head, that's okay, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my 6 main colors. So next up is yellow and purple. There's my yellow, and there's my purple, and last but not least, red and green. Red and green. So again, that is just kind of a fun way to include the complementary colors. So here's what I'm going to do. it is now time to start coloring. I am going to make these first 4 feathers orange and blue in some way. Remember, you can do yours a different way. You can color it solid, you can color pattern, you can leave white space, whatever you'd like to do. I'm going to show you a few different examples. Then the next 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm going to put yellow and purple. Alright, so I'm just laying these out to kind of show you what's going to be happening. And then my last 4 over here, green and red. Okay, so remember, those are our 3 sets of complementary colors. I'm going to show you a few different designs that you can do. Okay, and then I'm going to let you just go ahead and color it however you want. Alright, so for the most part, this is up to you, but I'm going to show you a few examples of designs you can do, some more advanced and some more simple. So first, a pretty simple one. Okay, I'm just going to cut this feather in half like this. So as straight of a line as I can draw, and then I'm going to color this part of the feather blue. Alright, so again, this is a fun, if you're using color and you want to start working on decorating your feathers, this is good for some of my beginners, some of maybe my younger kids, okay? Just splitting up that feather in half, putting blue on one side, and then you might have guessed it, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put orange right underneath. So notice that in each feather, I am putting 2 colors. Okay, so I'm not coloring one feather blue and one feather orange. I'm including both colors in that complementary set in the feather, mostly just so that you can see them next to each other, because that's the whole point of complements. So I went ahead and I did a feather half orange, half blue. So this is a really nice way to look at these colors next to each other. Alright, next to each other and seeing that they really pop out. So now I'm going to hop up. So I'm going to make little marks for you. Okay, so this feather, okay, and I'm just doing this. You don't need to do this. I'm just showing you which feather is going to be which color, okay? So actually I'm just going to go ahead and write with a pencil. Okay, so orange / blue feathers, alright? 1, 2, 3, 4. Orange / blue feathers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yellow / purple. Okay, and again, you don't need to be doing this. This is just to show you what's going on. And over here, green and red. Okay, because I'm not going to color every single one of these with you. Okay, because I know that most of you know how to color already. I'm just going to show you a few examples of some patterns that we can do. Okay, so that was an orange and blue example, and then in these next 3 I'm going to do even more orange and blue patterns. Now I'm going to show you a yellow and purple example, a little bit more advanced but still pretty simple. Okay, so for this one I'm just going to do stripes, and again I've now moved up to yellow and purple just so you can see the different colors. So I'm going to do stripes. So I'm going to move, starting with purple, leave some space for my yellow, and then make another purple stripe right here. And then let's make one more. And again, remember, you can change the shapes, right? See how I ran out of space, so I didn't have space to make a whole stripe? Really use this to practice. It's okay if these don't all look the same, right? Because you ran out of space, and that's alright. Just like our peacock going off the page. Now I'm just going to go in and I'm going to color with yellow. So you're either coloring or you're shading or you're drawing designs, whatever your choice is today. And do be careful if you're using something like marker. These lighter colors can start to get a little brown if I mix it with the darker colors too much. So we want to try to keep our markers nice and clean. Alright, and now I'm going to show you one more example over here, green and red. Little more advanced. Okay, it's a little tricky, but hey, go ahead and try it. And if it doesn't work, then try something else. Okay, so what I'm going to do is polka dots. I love decorating with polka dots, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how I like to do it. Alright, so I start with drawing my polka dots. So I'm going to make green dots and the background's going to be red for this. And you can do this with any color, of course, or with just pencil. And again, remember, you can make it going off of the edge. See how this is only a half circle? Brings more interest to it. And then let's make another little one over here. Okay, so those are my dots. And again, if you want to, okay, you can just make polka dots. So for example, you can just do red right next to your green and leave white, and that's okay. Make some red polka dots like that. Alright, so that's a lot easier because you don't have to deal with those colors mixing and getting right next to each other. If you're feeling up for the challenge, you can color the whole background red. So watch what I'm doing. I'm being very, very, very careful, okay, about not going over my green too much. Alright, if you do go over it, it's okay, but remember, if you go over it too much, you're actually going to get a brown color. Alright, the thing about complements is that if you mix them together, you actually get a brown. Different shades of brown, but brown nonetheless. So if I mix red and green together, I'm going to get kind of a reddish greenish brown. And then same goes for my other complements as well. So see how I'm just being very, very careful? I'm going to outline these before I fill everything in. Outline very carefully. And again, the more you practice these very delicate strokes of the marker, the better you'll get at it, okay? So now we're just going to fill it in. This is for people that are feeling like they want to challenge themselves a little bit, a little more complex. Alright, so that is a pattern that we can do. Alright, now, and remember, you can just work on this. If you feel like this is hard enough for you, just a half feather, half blue, half orange, go ahead and stick to that, okay? But now I'm going to pull this back in, okay? So we have our 4 orange and blue feathers, our 4 yellow and purple feathers, and our 4 green and red feathers. Okay, so here are some other patterns that you can work with. Again, some are a little more advanced. I started with one color. I chose the color to start with. Like here I started with green. I made my design. Again, think about the shapes and the lines we worked with in that other video. You can use those to think of ideas. And then I just traced very carefully with red and colored in the background. And then the stripes is another nice simple one you can work with. Okay, stripes, big or thin stripes. This one I just drew some rectangles, I did circles, I did diamonds, zigzag. Again, think back to those shapes and those lines. That's really going to help you out. Okay, so I showed you how to draw a few designs. If you need to pause it here, you can remind yourself which feathers need to be which colors. Alright, and then when you're all done, you're going to see this beautiful peacock, and it's also going to remind you of what our complementary colors are, okay? So I hope you have learned a lot from this video. I hope you had fun. I hope you are still having fun. And awesome job. I will see you next time.